Hey guys, Tyler Tillman here. Just wanted to do a random flow while I'm in the sun, talking about that beautiful being. In the ancient Egyptian, it's referred to as Ra, and they call it the Eye of Ra. And if you understand Egyptian language, the letter R represents the lips, and the letter R actually is related to spiritual divinity. Very interesting. Spiritual divinity, the lips, the sound, the vibration that comes from the lips. And then A, the letter A is actually the letter A is a vulture. And the vulture, one quality, there are many, but one quality of the vulture is that it will actually, if it can't feed its own young, it will actually tear its own flesh to feed its young. And so it was represented as like a divine mother. Like a mother would literally tear her own flesh or do whatever it takes to feed her young, so the vulture was always represented as like the divine mother. And you'll see back in ancient Egypt, the Egyptian queens had this like kind of hat with a vulture out front that represented this like divine mothering energy. And so Ra is the divinity, the sound, the vibration that's being put out. And it represents this spiritual divinity and mothering energy. It's almost like, the masculine and the feminine coming together. So we have this situation of Ra. And it's interesting, I find it very interesting that we refer to raw food as the plants that have taken in that pure sun raw energy. And it's harnessed one of these specific colors. There are 7 colors of the rainbow. We have 7 endocrine centers in our body. There are 7 systems of the body that I feel need to be fed. I believe that each color kind of represents dominantly one system. And of course, all the colors are good for all the systems in the entire human being. But like, for example, the color red is really good for your blood. So the things that are red are really good for the blood, like red grapes represent the red blood cells of the body. Watermelon has arginine and other components that are really good for circulation to the brain. They say using your old melon like a watermelon. The color red. Tomatoes, capsicum, like really good for the heart, really good for the circulatory system. Cayenne pepper, expanding arterial function, endothelial function, and getting circulation happening through the body. So a lot of people that have circulatory issues can add some cayenne pepper to maybe like a lemon water drink, or cayenne pepper to a juice, or cayenne pepper to their food, and it increases circulation and metabolism. So I'm just out here kind of ranting and downloading from the sun because it's growing and it's getting bigger and it's putting out more energy, and it's wanting to share these downloads with the world. Got a beautiful little cloud above me. And another beautiful aspect of the sun is all of these colors as it comes into the body. I don't think there's anywhere else that really mimics the actual sun, the actual raw energy that we can get into directly. And one of the vibration, the highest vibratory rate that comes off of the sun, we call it ultraviolet. Think of like Ultron, if you want to be super upgraded and energetically onto it. Ultraviolet is actually one of the greatest things. And of course, we live in an upside down world and society where we try to make people believe that the greatest things in life, the things that could actually bring about a situation of our own enlightenment and enhancement, are bad for you. Everybody's scared of the ultraviolet light because it causes cancer. Bullshit. Straight up. Complete nonsense. And in fact, ultraviolet is one of the greatest purifiers. So it actually kills any bacteria, mold, fungus, yeast, anything negative. And you can see this in water filtration systems. People have these water filtration systems put into their home, and it's got this ultraviolet light, and all the water passes through it. And the ultraviolet light actually charges the water while it kills any bacteria or mold or anything that shouldn't be in there, which is pretty magical. And the truth is, it's, to this day, as far as I know, it's still free to be out here. I didn't have to pay a fee. There's no toll. There's no sun tax yet. Probably going to get there at some point. But anyways, I'm out here and I'm able to take in all of the full spectrum of light. The reds, which create growth and are powerful for activation of the pineal gland. The oranges, which are coming into my body and bringing about a sensation of sensuality and pleasure. The yellow that my body receives that amplifies my ability to project my will and create in the world. The green that's coming through, whether you can aware of it or not, opening up my heart space. Green is super nurturing. Everything around us is green for a reason. We're on this beautiful planet to open up this, especially the green, the heart. And then we get into the blue, which is all about communication and transfer and sharing of ideas. You know, the blue light that comes from your phone is constantly communicating. Sometimes we need to shut that off, get a little bit too much of that. And then we have this purple activating our third eye. The purple, you know, is representing, you know, in that divine connection and being kind of like in that space. If you look back at the kings and queens for thousands of years, in fact, there were some kings and queens that were only allowed to wear purple. And purple was really hard color to get. And if you were a lower class and you had purple, you could be executed because they're like, you can't wear purple. Because what it meant is the ones who wear purple are the ones that are in the divine connection with God and sharing that information with humans, which supposedly was reserved to the Pope and it was reserved to the kings and queens, etc. And so purple wasn't very prominent back in that time. And we want that purple color. We want that divine connection. We want to connect with our higher selves and bring that information into and share the magic with other people about the processes that lead to these higher spaces. And ultimately, the ultraviolet is that 1,000-petaled lotus, that higher spiritual divine energy that really we should be getting into as much as possible and embracing, you know, and that ultraviolet, you know, violet, it's violet. It's such a beautiful thing that really we only get from the sun. And we need that. It comes into our body. It converts something called cholesterol into a hormone that amplifies every cell inside of your body. It corrects your endocrine system. It sets your sleep-wake cycle. It improves your, adrenaline in the morning and when it should activate and when it should shut off, called your cortisol curve or cycle. So many beautiful things that come from the sun. And here's a tidbit from ancient Egyptian wisdom. You always see them holding out their hands like this. And the reason they're outstretching their hands is because it's the only place on the body. If you really stretch out your hands and your fingers, you'll see little cracks of red in between each one of your fingers. And the 12 aspects of each part of your finger represent the 12 signs of the zodiac, the 12 disciples. There's like all these ancient connections that are pretty interesting, whether you want to look into it or not. And then there's a couple other aspects with your thumb. Anyways, as you open up your hand, that ultraviolet light is actually exposed to your blood. And as it's exposed to your blood, if you have bacterial infection, a lot of people walking around with little bacteria all through the blood, that's what your immune system is for, is the white blood cells go and identify it and break it down. But if you have any bacteria, if you have any fungus, if you have any mold, if you have any viruses or things that really shouldn't be inside of our blood, holding the hands up and just breathing. And each time my heart beats and pumps blood through my hand, it's exposed to the ultraviolet light that destroys the bacteria, the bad bacteria, the viruses, the yeast, mold, fungus, etc., that leaves me in a higher state of health. And the cholesterol that's made by my liver that's traveling through my blood becomes vitamin D. And this vitamin D gives me energy and vitality and balances the entire endocrine system. In the East, they call the chakra system. So the best and highest form of receiving light, eating the rainbow, is this, just being out in the sun. And then of course we want to hydrate, and we want to take foods, especially in their raw form. That's when they have the most powerful energy to come into the body and really sweep away the plaque and the toxicity and remove the parasites and remove the fats and the plaques and the things that are building up. And again, we live in a world where we're taught that, fruit is sugar and it's bad for you and it causes cancer. It's actually the opposite is true. If people actually just ate fruit, it would detoxify and cleanse them more powerfully than anything else. And in fact, your lymphatic system, which is one of the fluid systems of the body that's there to detox and remove the acid waste products from the cells, the best way to remove the waste products and the acids that build up inside of the cells, which is the main cause of inflammation and disease, the best way to remove that is fresh fruit, especially citrus. Oranges, lemons, limes, grapefruits are so powerful at cleansing the lymphatic system. Obviously, hydration, sweating, sauna, getting out in the sun, opening up, exercise, movement of muscles is moving the lymph and the blood at the same time. So anyways, that's a little dose of Tyler Tolman Sunshine downloads. Hope you guys enjoy. Tune in for more activations, more to come, I'm sure. The sun constantly upgrading, throwing out some beautiful CME, super high vibrational stuff. Cheers.